Good afternoon. Today in the 100% Forum, we speak about the industry where the Tatarstan always ranked among the top leaders and reached the 100% efficiency. The President of the Republic of Tatarstan is heading the working group of the State Council of the Russian Federation on Housing Market Development and Providing of the Comfortable Urban Environment. Tatarstan is among the leaders on the Housing Commission rankings. And today we're going to speak about how we capable of achieving such great results. And now I would like to introduce the guests of our panel discussion. So we have Farid Khanifov, Minister of Construction and Architecture in Housing and Utilities of the Republic of Tatarstan. Hello. Marat Zaripov, the Executive Director of the State Housing Fund under the President of the Republic of Tatarstan. Ruslan Akhatov, Deputy Manager of the Department of the Bank Tatarstan, the PAO Sberbank. Leyla Kudermetova, the head of the Tatarstan office of the Rossельхозbank. Ratik Selimgarayev, the Director General of the Unistroy company. Hello. And Ruslan Nurmuhametov, Director General of Suvarstroy. And I hope that as part of the dialogue we'll speak about the housing development, and I give the floor to Farid Khanifov, the Minister of Construction, Housing and Utilities, and we speak about Tatarstan, about 100% Tatarstan, how they are commissioning the housing here, and how much housing, what about the numbers? So the topic of the housing, and it's the best topic for people in construction. It's very warm, heartwarming topic. Well, as for the apartments, flats, and housing generally, it's always the best memories that we have, and everyone is trying to build his own house, and the housing development is the topic number one for our republic, and it's not accidental. The President of Tatarstan is the head of that working group. It's a great honor for our republic when one of the major working groups is led by the President himself. And the housing development in the Republic of Tatarstan traditionally developing, and actually it is continuously gaining momentum. We show the commitment and we have very good results. So every 10 years, since 2000, we added 5,000 square meters. 10 years and 500,000 of square meters were commissioned. The next 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, another 500,000 square meters that commissioned here. And the next decade, we setting a very ambitious goal. That's all over the country, to provide, to keep up the pace and even increase it. And what we have this 500,000 a decade, then the next 10 years, we're planning to bring it to a higher level, so it's 1 million square meters. And how can you do that? Because you were up to 2030. So that's the goal, plus 1 million square meters. It's truly an ambitious task, and you know that President himself is conducting the briefing every Saturday. This goal can be achieved due to the political and economical measures, well-balanced measures, of course. So the accessibility, availability of the housing it's possible to do thanks to the developed economy of the region. And I want to say that we are planning today to continue that work. And we work with developers, with our bank colleagues, the bankers, and I would like to thank them for that. Well, you regularly have the meetings and you discuss all the problems there. You know, there is one specific feature of the block of flats or any housing. Usually it is built for many years to come, and when it is built, you know, it shouldn't be, there should be any rush. If we go back to the February of 2020, 9th of February, that time our president met the developers, and because this year we had a very ambitious goal, the first time ever in the construction industry of the Republic of Tatarstan, to exceed the level of 3 million square meters of housing a year. Very ambitious goal. And actually, President started the year with a discussion with the developers. He met with each of them individually all the risks, problems, opportunities. So what is your routine? How can we help you? And our developers, they will share their vision, their experience, and so it happened. Actually, we had these meetings, and actually it gave an impetus and actually gave us the confidence even during the pandemic of coronavirus in March. So it allowed the construction industry navigate this very hard period, and we actually didn't see any difficulties during that period. So every week the president controlled the people working at the construction sites, every week.
And every week we reported on the progress, and we see what is going on, and our confidence is only growing, and our bankers, our developers will report today, and I feel they really feel comfortable. Of course, we have calculated and considered all possible options. In what way? How can we meet the high standards that are very rigorous? Of course, the task number one is apartment buildings. This is the most efficient way to achieve our results, provided there is a small area and we build a lot of housing, and it requires less utilities and easier to provide the entire development with social facilities, kindergartens, schools, supermarkets, and we have to spend less on the construction of roads. At the same time, apartment buildings have both pluses and minuses. Many people want to live in the countryside, and many of them aspire to live private housing for a big family. You have touched upon a very, and maybe the most important topic of these days, private housing. This kind of housing is acquiring more and more popularity today across the whole country and in our republic. And if we used to build 30, 40, 45% of private housing before, in this year, it will be 50% or even more. Today, in the field of private housing, we expect to build 1.5 million square meters. But there are some difficulties, utilities and infrastructure, how to solve this task given such construction volumes. The task is said and the task may be solved. It's not a mere coincidence that the government just gave us the order, build, but we are not going to help you. It is not done like this. First, this residential development is a national project and urban environment as well. This is an extremely important national project. And today it is, of course, it enjoys some state measures of support, and even the fact of pandemics. And on April 16, the president of the country introduced among one of the first measures and instructed the government officials across the whole country to pay special attention on the construction area. This was a kind of signal, and the signal received a correct perception. Construction is like a driver in the industry, which has been able to drag all the rest of industries. Just imagine if all plants and fabrics just stopped. What would have happened? It's very good that we supported the construction. And social and cultural facilities and schools were part of the stimulus program. And at the very beginning, you have mentioned that our President Rustam Minnikhanov is the head of the working group at the Russian level. But he is not merely a head of the working group, but he is a driver who have been able to solve a lot of crucial tasks over this period. And he's well known in our professional community. For example, rural mortgage. subsidies were allocated in the amount of 1 billion rubles. But Minnikhanov insisted to add 2 billion rubles, so that in total there are 3 billion rubles of subsidies. And it's not only 3 billion rubles of subsidies, because there is an issue of percent rate. 7,000 rubles is a interest rate for 1 million rubles. So imagine the entire amount. The second thing is utilities. Ministry of the Construction of the Russian Federation allocated subsidies of 4,000 rubles per square meters. And the developers know that it's quite a considerable amount, it's good support. But our president, Minnikhanov, personally approached the government of our country and has achieved that this number was doubled. And today it is 8,000 rubles per square meters instead of 4,000 rubles. And my colleagues will tell you also about the subsidized mortgage loan of 6%. Which is also a very efficient tool. Every week people take 250 to 30 loans, which in monetary terms will amount to the cost of one village. Now, as far as our attitude to housing construction is concerned, it's not enough just to declare that I want a small house in the rural area or I want to spend weekends in the village, but you have to have some means to do it. We are analyzing the situation of people, and I would like to share what I have noticed. Men have their own attitude to the issue of building houses. When they can, when they have enough money, they are ready to build. But women have a different approach. They say, we must have a house. And there are some crisis moments when there is not enough money in the family, but women insist on building a house anyway, because they have a strong feeling of a sweet home, and this feeling drives them. And that's why we have set a number of tasks. First, we used to build 1 million square meters of individual private housing, but then we increased our goal to 1.5 million and then to 1.7 million. We almost doubled. And we register land plots. A lot of land plots is registered today in an organized manner. 16,000 hectares has been allocated already for this purpose, of which 6 to 7,000 hectares, or 1/3, was allocated for families with many children. We are working on the development of urban planning documentation, because it's not enough only to allocate plot land, but we need to develop it properly and to document it properly. And here I would resort to my colleagues so that they maybe add something. It's not enough to create a layout, a design. We will have to develop utilities and to find funds for this purpose. And today this program has been launched. We need also to build social and cultural facilities, and that's why the program called Stimulus was introduced to develop utilities. You remember the examples when only houses are built in the field, but no infrastructure, no utilities, and people cannot move in their new housing because there is no infrastructure. They just spend their money in vain. That's why we actively build and develop infrastructure and utilities. And we, as a government, help to develop utilities and infrastructure to have every apartment building absolutely ready for life, equipped with roads, with everything necessary. At the same time, it is not an easy task, but it is possible. and it is a costly task. Yes, costly, but it only costs the money to be paid. And we hope that our developers, the experienced developers who build a lot of multi-apartment buildings. And I would like to mention that we have very prominent professionals of development with a well-developed monitoring and management system. And I would like to invite them to participate in the construction in the countryside. They are being involved today, and I'm thankful to them for this. They act in a very professional way. Tatarstan population is ready to go to countryside and to develop new lands. Yes, they are. Okay, let's help them. Thank you, Farid Mudarisovich, and let us discuss whether the housing is affordable. It's so nice that we have a lot of housing, but let's give the floor to Marat Zaripov, Executive Director, State Housing Fund under the President of Russia. And today we implement a really important projects to make housing affordable to everyone. Let's discuss it in detail. This year we have celebrated 25 years anniversary of the Housing Fund. It is an unparalleled program. Unfortunately, no analog in the world exists, in our country exists, sorry. And I would like to state that over this period we have built more than 10 million square meters of residential buildings, and 170,000 people in Tatarstan obtained new apartments. We built it in also in regions of our city. Within this program we are running 7 major programs: a social mortgage. We provide apartments to World War II veterans, and this year the last veteran got the apartment, and over the entire period of the program more than 6,000 veterans got the living quarters. It shall be noted particularly that in this year our President decided to double the number of residential quarters provided to orphans. We used to provide 300 apartments per year, but from now on we will provide more than 600 apartments, and in the next 3 to 4 years we expect to solve this problem. Also, we help families with many children. And maybe you have heard it already. This year, our president decided to launch a new program to a new category of population, which is young family. According to the data of Ministry of Youth, it's about 6,000 families. And what is the difference from other programs? Before, only state employees and employees of the companies participating in the housing program could participate, but young family shall not be subject to this criteria. The only criteria is that at least one of the spouses is under 35 years old, and they have some income at least, and the minimum subsistence level to serve this mortgage loan. We remain to run a social mortgage program, and our forecast is 3 years for social mortgage. This year we are going to build 273,000 square meters of housing. We have no doubts that it will be implemented. And as I have already reported during the briefing, in the spring of this year we presented a new project to the President, which will be implemented on the basis of Salavat Kupere residential complex in the second micro-district. There will be 18 houses, and new approaches will be employed, like cars-free outdoors areas and wide pedestrian zone. It will be a more comfortable environment both for children and for adults, with less noise, and people will be able to play football, basketball. These approaches are widely employed today because before social mortgage was considered that it shall be free of such additional pleasant features, but today our approach changes. Every person wants to live in a comfortable environment. And that's why we do our best to implement all the good features of modern living space. A house must be safe, comfortable, modern, and that's why we implement all these concepts today.
And Minister of Construction and all the dignitaries and stakeholders. So we work on these approaches, and we hope that we'll succeed. And of course, 100% Tatarstan, it should be 100% success. There is no other way out. Slovat Kupre residential complex, it's a very good example of this comprehensive territory development. You have the kindergartens and all the infrastructure. So where are we basically going for this comprehensive building mode? As for this infill construction, it's very rarely we go for. So as for the comprehensive development, it's the modern infrastructure, kindergarten, schools, the shops, because we built it all together, not only the residential apartments, but all those, the hairdressers and the security checkpoints and the different sports and vacational facilities and unified information and data center. It's a big complex. It's like a small town, and if the people living there in the morning go to work or to the school, taking their kids there, and then going back in the evening, then of course there'll be a lot of the challenges. And we now set the task, and the president also actually set the task, because we are coming up with a new approach. And the president actually stressed that we have to create such conditions in order to have the minimum migration. So not only the kindergartens and schools, but also some offices, maybe some location for people to work there. And as for the young generation, these are the IT people. You don't need to go anywhere. So you have to have the comfort office building or the center where the person going outside find whatever needs he have, go with sports, to have his haircut and to work and to live and to practice sports. And I think that's the whole world going the same way. And we're trying also to follow the same example. Thank you very much, Marat Evgach. And we will continue about discussing about this availability of the housing. And we know that the president of Russia introduced this unprecedented support for the construction sphere before the pandemic period, for the construction industry and for the residents of country. That's the 6.5% of the social mortgage loans. And we'll speak about that, Ravil Akhatov, with the management for the Bank Tatarstan of the Power Sberbank. So 6.5%, it's now makes my heart beating faster. So as for the mortgage rates, and speaking as for the third quarter, we forecast 2 times more mortgages loan handed out in the new housing market. It is realized thanks to the several programs. The first one is the President program with the state support of 6.5% rate. And there are some programs for the families who have one kid on the 1st January of 2018. And these two programs give a very big synergy effect. And you know that these programs are very popular, and we made a decision to increase the limit from 3 million to 6 million rubles. And as for the Sberbank, 70% out of all the loans are the loans with the state support. They're very much demanded and popular, but we're going further actually, and there are some promising areas that was mentioned by Kharit Muzarisovich. It's the private housing market. It's only about 40% of all those this market of the constructed buildings and housing, and together with the ministry we have the working group sessions, and we discuss how to further develop it and to make it more accessible for our individuals. It's very promising, and we think about the projects and how to change the legislation framework and the proposals that we come up to the market. And if we have the private housing market developing further, young families will have all the opportunities, and they can get any housing, any type of the housing that they like. So we consider the option what it means to build a house or to buy an apartment or flat. So the price policy is actually the same, but the market, when we see the individual coming there and buying from the developer, it's the seller market. Some specific flats in fees, private housing development. That's a bit different situation. We can change the materials made of the concrete bricks or wood, timber. So the construction timeline, I mean the deadlines, that's also the most difficult thing. If we speak about this social or subsidized mortgage, is it available and accessible for everybody? It's absolutely accessible. There are no restrictions, but there are some good rates, interest rates that are available thanks to these programs. I would like to say that it doesn't mean that we have some restrictions in these programs. Well, there is the program is affordable and absolutely accessible. And we do hope that this demand will foster extension of the program. It will be valid for a long period. I think we have all the prerequisites. Now we're going from the city to the vicinity, into the rural area. The representative of the Rossельхозbank. I would like to welcome everyone, and I would like to say that the rural mortgage loans is a special product for the banking services. And rural mortgage loans allow us attract the labor force. There's actively involved. It's very relevant for today. It's among the top priorities for the President and the Minister of Construction. As for the private housing and the blocks of flats construction, in order to develop the agriculture, taking into account that agriculture is specifically represented by small and medium enterprises, it occupies and they produce the products, almost 50% of all those agricultural products, and a quarter of that, more than 900,000 people living in the rural areas. It's a very specific, sensitive topic, and this program, the Rural Mortgage Program, as part of the comprehensive development of the rural areas, today was of a much importance and interest for everyone, for all the stakeholders. And Rossельхозbank get involved, and it gave 28 billion rubles of loans for 14,000 participants this program and families. They got a chance to improve their housing conditions or to buy new flats or houses. As for the Tatarstan, is among top 5 regions, and working with this office of Rossельхозbank in Tatarstan is because the major capacity of this volume of these loans were rendered through the Rossельхозbank. We have about 14,000 applications, I mean the families. Sorry, I beg your pardon, I'm just confusing the numbers. It's 6,000 families with a total families for 6 billion rubles applied. And the interest rate here in this program is only 3% a year, and Rossельхозbank offers 2.7. That's why people are interested in that. So there are certain criteria that the loan taker should meet. But it's very relevant, and maybe took advantage of the program and became part of it. As for the limits, we want to exceed it because 1 billion rubles was allocated by the government of the Russian Federation. It was used actually, and we have the session of the Minister of the Agriculture of the Russian Federation in the Udmurtia Republic, and the minister stated that together with the regions we want to exceed it to 2 billion rubles. So we keep on collecting the applications and we are processing them, and I think that there will be further development of the program. As for the loan takers and what those people want, about 80% they are planning to build the So half of it, 5 or 10,000 people, they want to build a new housing. It's one of the programs and it will be implemented to attract the people into the rural areas, so there's representing the active labor force. As of course it is the finished housing, and the 50% of these people who would like to buy the ready to go, that built flats or the houses, private houses. I beg your pardon. So these are the apartment blocks. So of course they are already were built, but some of them want some detached houses, and we keep on working, so it's like private housing. So we have very good conditions. Looking forward to having you here and provide you all the services. So who are the participants of that program? Are these elderly or young people who want to? As for the loan takers, it's about the people below 40 years old who want to buy some housing in the rural area, who have a lot of strength and commitment to develop the agriculture. That is 2 billion rubles, the number that was mentioned, and they will be part of the social mortgage program, and we have more loan takers. And we'll wait for that, and now we shift to the commercial sector, and we speak about the comprehensive territory development about the comfortable Radik Shingarev, the Director General for Nistroy Company. Hello. They give an example when we speak about the comprehensive development of the territory. We considered the Art City housing project and the two different delegations visiting the Republic, also Visna residential complex. So why do they show it to all the guests? Are these cases unique ones? Farid Mudaris spoke about the industry support, and I will speak about residential complex Visna, because it's actually the flagship project where the effect, we see the interaction between the authorities, the state, and the private sector, and it has a very good results. And I will cover some of the changes in terms of the demands that the clients want and efficiency of the investment from the point of view of the state, the state financing and investing into the business. As we're moving on for the housing management system and maintenance systems, and it's transforming into a new format. It's the comprehensive territory development. That the project was launched in 2015, and in 2019 we commissioned the last project. So 5 years for the implementation, 250,000 square meters of the living quarters, and 5,000 apartments for 8,000 housing for residents. We have the 2 kindergarten, school, and a huge parking zone of 4.5 hectares. And the major changes taking place recently, it's that the transformation of the market, depending on the demands and the needs of the client, when they are not choosing some meters, they're choosing it's not about the quantity or statistics, it's about the quality of life. And we actually timely found this trend, and 70% of the clients are the young families, under 30, 35 years old, who have children and several kids, and the major criterion for them to choose is the infrastructure available there, except for the social facilities, the safety, the availability of the transport system, public transport system, the public spaces, parks, and we further went on to work with that, and Farid spoke a lot about that, about impetus providing to the further development. We participated in several programs, one kindergarten and school that was implemented according to the program, one kindergarten, and as part of the demography development project. So it's gradual implementation of this project increased the demand for this housing, and we actually see the very big growth. And it's not only about our analysts that provide this information. The periods of the implementation of these projects and when the infrastructure is developing developing exponentially, and we are about to reach on the level of 120 million square meters that are commissioned, and with the support of our president, thanks to his control and support and monitoring, and thanks to the weekly briefings that we have and support, we are capable of implementing these projects within a very shortest time possible. We're not just building, we see the potential of turning this. Remember, 15 years ago, the Housing Maintenance Administration, it was very hard. It's all about the red tape, and it impeded really badly, so you can't call through. Now, working with the clients, we are online 24/7. As I told you, young team. It's all available in your mobile app, and every applications are consolidated, processed within a second, and it gets into the system. You have to finalize and provide all the services, because our services are assessed and evaluated if the client is satisfied with different types of the work that we did. If they are satisfied, then it's fine. If there is no satisfaction, we again go through all the stages of the services provided, and we're trying to analyze and adjust and fine-tune it. And if I'm not mistaken, over the period of 2019, we received only 16 applications, at least within our IT infrastructure. Secondly, the people value very much the safety and security. In the residential complex of Vesna, they have 1,000 cameras and only 5,000 cameras. So one camera, CCTV camera per 5 flats. And of course, we can't exclude and kill completely the crime committing there. But what is the dynamics over the 5 years? The number of the crimes is going down continuously, and people understand that you'd better not go for any violations, any crimes, because it's all controlled and supervised. And the system of the operating and monitoring, so every flat has the automated metering devices, because previously, in the beginning of the month, we had to write and provide the information about the housing and utilities expenses. We don't need to do that now. You just click the button in your mobile app, and a second click you pay for all the utilities. And youth, young generation, they appreciate it very much. And we'll go further. And if there are any results that we can come up with, we have these subsidized mortgage loans. It is supported very well. There are a certain time period, but I do hope that it will be further extended, and this program will be active. And at least at the federal level, I think they should consider the options of subsidizing not only engineering or transport infrastructure, but also go back to the opportunity of kindergartens and school participating in that program.
Okay, it is interesting. We have touched upon the topic of private housing, and now we have heard about the social facilities. You have mentioned that 2 kindergartens and a school are planned for the residential complex mentioned. Do you only plan them, or are you building them? And maybe sometimes it is difficult to keep up with the pace of the development. But actually it's a long story, and here we can mention a positive synchronization between the developers and the state, since they have a common ground, and they have developed quite a big volume of buildings, 250,000 square meters, and they also build social facilities, so people are happy to buy these apartments, and they have all the facilities, kindergarten, schools for children. And as far as the utilities are concerned, this program was initiated by the Ministry of the Russian Federation with our support, of course, but it is only for 2021-22. We are going to finalize all the objects we started in recent years. In 2022, 2022, we will stop providing funds for the development of social facilities, and we'll spend all money for the development of utilities. And then in a while we will, after a short pause, we will again build the social utilities. We have learned well how to build schools, very big schools with 1,500 capacity, and also kindergartens. And we would like to use your expertise, Radik, in other area of development, which is low-rise development. You know, we have such kind of project, a pilot project. So far, it is kind of experiment, and we would like to finalize it to learn what technical problems we will face. Because, as you mentioned, we often face the problems with the utilities. If we speak about block apartment development, if we, for example, put some pipes for a large building apartment project, we have to calculate, to consider the costs for these pipes, and not so that the costs do not rise. We shall be very careful in this respect, and I know you place a lot of attention to this in this respect. And even today, it is very hard task to find a rental apartment in Kazan, because it seems like there is no apartment to rent. Everything is occupied already. Once again, returning to the point of low-rise development, single-story buildings development, they are underway now, and now we again have to seek the opportunity for synchronization between the developers and between the government, and we have a clear picture of what the developers do and what the government does. I have no doubt, and we always find efficient ways of cooperation. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Ruslan Nurmuhametov, Director General of Savarstroi. Good morning. Tatarstan is a dynamic and leadership region. Every year, the amount of residential buildings commissioned is increased. Today we implement 9 residential complexes in various areas of Kazan and 1 residential complex in Laishevo district. And our projects mainly are aimed at comprehensive development of the areas. And within the framework of these projects, with the involvement of the government, we built not only social residential buildings, but also schools and kindergartens. And in the recent years, we have opened a school for 1,224 children and 2 kindergartens, accommodating 550 children in total. And this year, within the framework of the demography project, we will commission 3 more kindergartens in Palitra, South Park, and Zalesny City residential complexes. Savarstroi commissions comprehensive development buildings for a number of years already, and our work features a high level of independence, autonomy, because the people who live in these residential complexes can enjoy various activities without even leaving this area. It is like a mini city, and we see our task in not only building new apartments and houses, but also in development of the infrastructure, and we pay great attention to the architectural look of the area. Last year we created our own architectural office, working in order to maintain this unified style. Let's speak about the Laisheva hub. It is comprised of 3 residential complexes, a sports station, Season of Year, and South Park, and we plan to build more than 700,000 square meters of residential quarters. And we expect that 27,000 people will reside here. So it is a very large-scale project. For the South Park residential complex, a rural mortgage loan can be attracted with a 2.7% interest rate. And we were among the first to implement this program. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I would like just to mention that there is no limitation for people to be registered at a certain place, at a certain area of the city. Wherever people are registered in rural area or in the city center, they can participate in this program. And this is a big plus. I'm sorry for interrupting you. In general, we have already built 25 houses, or they are at the commissioning stage. And the potential number of residents is 7,000 people, which is a kind of mini city. And together with the state, we're developing transport infrastructure. We have built a road junction with an overall length of 5.5 kilometers. And it bridges these residential complexes to the highway to Borovoye-Matushino. And it will only take 15 minutes to get to the city by this highway. We are also implementing Palitra and Сказочный лес residential complexes in the micro-district Volжские просторы. It's Volga district of Kazan. Also residential complex Столичный in Новосавиновский район, residential complex Залесный City in Kirovsky район, and the residential complex Август Astra, a new one in the Вахитовский район. The peculiarity of our projects is that they all have their own unique concepts. For example, the residential complex Manhattan has solar elements on the roof, which provides energy to public facilities. One of our complexes is a Sportivная station, playgrounds, sport grounds, football area. And independing of the customers' purchasing power, we provide them with high-quality products and we accompany the client from the very beginning to the very end. For example, last year we created a care service which provided help to the residents in the 24/7 mode, in solving some social issues and helping elderly people to purchase some food during the pandemics, residential quarters, and inspect new apartments, helping people who will live here. Thank you. We have heard various numbers of residential quarters commissioned, but the most important that there are customers who would like to purchase these buildings and apartments, and the main question is to the banks and to you, if there are customers who would like to purchase. The amount of loans and residential quarters built and sold suggests that there are customers. We have to understand in depth this economics of construction. We have 104,000 square meters of residential quarters built in the Republic, and this year this number will even grow. We must understand that living quarters depreciate and loses some qualities, and our wealthy citizens who has enough money, they often move to better districts and apartments. Today I heard the age 35 to 40 years old customers who are the main target customer group for us today. We built for them. And we also must keep in mind some problems in life. We have a problem of defrauded home buyers. And here the Republic of Tatarstan, under the instruction of our president, Mr. Minnikhanov, I participated in the meeting he held with Marat Husnulin, deputy chairman of the Russian government. And the decision was made to commission all houses of defrauded home buyers in 2021. I think there are 18 houses in total and more than 3,000 defrauded home buyers, more than 200,000 square meters of living quarters. And today we have 7 sites when the foundation was laid, but no further work was done. And we needed to finish them as well. It's quite a sad topic, but the way it is addressed by our government and our president, it is a very well worked approach.
So they invest heavily actually in this project. So there is another thing I would like to mention. When we speak about the private housing development and start actively discussing it with the developers and bankers and with the municipalities, because most of the houses are outside Kazan, are in its rural districts and in other parts of Tatarstan, we understand that we have to improve our knowledge. And we are organized special educational process on 28th of August, first 350 people representing municipalities, different officers, local developers. They will take exams, and the 72 academic hours program, educational programs of the basics of the construction will be very helpful in order to further develop the housing development, private housing development. So our specialists will know how to properly register the land plots, how to ensure the right proper way of constructing, what are the engineering networks, how to design them, and how to interact with all the state agencies and bodies in order to synchronize and align actually this work. In that case, we will achieve success. There will be the victory. So the private housing development, it's a new driver. If we speak about 1 floor in America, now we have 2 floor in Tatarstan. Well, we have 2 and 3 and 5 floor detached houses even. But this comprehensive approach, it's the instruction actually that was given by the president to have this wise and sophisticated and well-balanced approach. So you can abruptly address this problem, because of the cut you can't address it. You know, it's not a sprint, it's tire distance. It's a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of nuances. It's a hard work, and I do hope that their professionalism, their perseverance and commitment will help to find a way out in the nearest term perspective. And I know that, you know, you should put your heart and soul in construction, because it is built for many years. for our children and grandchildren to live there. It should have good atmosphere, very warm, comfortable, and cozy. And our colleagues managed to do that, and people are happy when they are moving to these brand new built houses. Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the participants of our panel discussion. And at this very moment, we wrap up our discussion. It's 100% Tatarstan Forum. Thank you for being with us.